Have you ever been told that Tantra is a dangerous, forbidden practice? That Tantriks summon spirits in the dead of night at cremation grounds, whispering secret mantras under the light of a full moon? That supernatural beings, Yakshinis, Chudales, or even deadly, ghostly Aghoris, are just waiting to be called upon? But what if I told you that most of what you hear on YouTube about Tantra is nothing but a psychological illusion? A marketing strategy to scare you, to make you believe in something that has no foundation, just to get views. Welcome to today's episode, The Truth Anyone Can Practice Tantra Without Fear, where I expose the myths, horror stories, and viral trends that are designed to keep you afraid, and why you should ignore them and focus on your real life. Tantra has always been a subject of mystery, fear, and fascination. Some see it as a dark, forbidden practice, while others recognize it as a powerful spiritual science. But what is Tantra really? Why do some Tantriks live in mashans, cremation grounds? Why do people fear Tantra even though a Dhami or Jhakri has greater power than a Tantrik? Let's uncover the truth behind Tantra, its real power, and the hidden dangers of invoking lower beings. Most people think Tantra is some kind of dark sorcery, but Tantra is simply an ancient spiritual practice that focuses on harnessing Shiva, or consciousness, and Shakti, which is energy. Tantra is not black magic. It is a spiritual system that seeks ultimate liberation, or moksha, through energy control. Unlike conventional spiritual paths, Tantra does not reject the material world or desires. Instead, it teaches how to master them. The goal is to unite Shiva, or consciousness, and Shakti, which is energy, within oneself. There are two main types of Tantra. Dakshinachara, also known as the right-hand path, is a disciplined spiritual approach focusing on divine worship. Then there's Vamachara, or the left-hand path, which is a more secretive path involving intense rituals, including working with spirits and elemental forces. Yogi says, Tantra is like fire. If used correctly, it gives light. If misused, it burns. But here's the truth. You do not need to go to a cremation ground to practice Tantra. You can do it safely at home by chanting these powerful mantras, Om Namah Shivaya, to connect with divine consciousness, Om Hring Shring Chamundaye Vicche, to invoke the energy of goddess Shakti. Why do Tantriks live in cremation grounds or mashans? Many believe Tantra can only be practiced in mashans. This is not entirely true. Tantra can be practiced anywhere, but mashans offer a unique advantage, a fearless environment. Only those without the fear of death can stay in a cremation ground after midnight. This tests the mental strength of the practitioner. A place of stillness. Spirits roam freely in mashans, but there are no worldly distractions, making it an ideal place for intense meditation, a gateway between worlds. Tantriks believe mashans are places where the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds is thin, allowing for faster access to spiritual energies. However, a yogi advises, you can practice Tantra at home if you are fearless. Chanting mantras for 3 hours non-stop will give results even on the first night. It challenges traditional beliefs. Tantra embraces everything, even what society sees as impure death, sexuality, spirits. It works with hidden forces. Unlike normal prayers, Tantric rituals directly interact with spiritual entities. It requires strict discipline. A small mistake can invite dangerous spirits that refuse to leave. Have you ever heard that if you see a lemon and chili outside your house, someone has cursed you? Or that black cloves, garlic, cloves, and chilies ward off spirits? This is pure psychological fear. The fear of Tantra exists because of cultural myths and viral horror content. People have been programmed to believe in these things from childhood, but in reality, it's all in the mind. In my previous video, I explained how deities are just projections of the mind. The same applies to so-called haunted places, spirit possessions, and black magic. These things only exist because people believe in them. This is our mind power and your choice to believe or unbelieve it. Real horror stories of Tantra gone wrong. The Yakshini obsession. A man once tried to invoke a Yakshini for wealth. He found a mantra on YouTube and followed it without any guidance. At first, he saw signs, coins appearing, a beautiful shadow in his dreams. But soon, the Yakshini demanded a blood offering. When he refused, his health deteriorated and his money disappeared overnight. He had to seek help from a Jhakri to break free. The Cursed House. A group of teenagers, inspired by viral horror videos, decided to perform a summoning ritual in an abandoned house. They lit candles, chanted random mantras, and laughed. That night, one of them reported feeling suffocated in his sleep. Another saw shadows moving in the corners. It was only fear playing tricks on their minds, but their belief made the illusion real. They're raising an important issue about the rise of superstition and blind belief on Indian social media platforms, especially YouTube. Many so-called spiritual gurus, astrologers, and healers are gaining millions of followers by making exaggerated claims, whether about past lives, controlling supernatural forces, or curing all problems with simple gestures like a pause sign. The problem is that these influencers mix ancient traditions with modern-day business tactics. They exploit people's fears and insecurities, then offer expensive solutions through their institutes, workshops, and online courses. Many of them do not have scientific backing for their claims, yet they influence millions. Indian society has a deep-rooted spiritual and religious culture, which is why many people are drawn to such content. However, blind faith without questioning leads to manipulation. The biggest concern is the impact on the younger generation, who may start believing in superstition rather than logic, critical thinking, and science. If people truly believed in these supernatural powers, why would the government spend billions on healthcare, hospitals, and scientific research? Why do these so-called gurus still rely on modern technology, medicine, and finance instead of their own powers? The responsibility also lies with YouTube and social media platforms. They promote content that gets views, and unfortunately, fear-based and sensational content spreads the fastest. At the same time, people should educate themselves and question what they watch instead of blindly believing and paying thousands for fake cures. India has one of the best education systems in the world in terms of talent, but the challenge is making critical thinking a core part of learning. Otherwise, people will continue to fall for such traps, and history has shown that blind faith can make people slaves, not just physically, but mentally. Exposing viral horror stories. Now let's talk about the horror stories and rituals that are trending on YouTube right now. These channels claim they have found the most haunted places, performed Moran Tantra, or even summoned deadly spirits. Exposing the truth, these stories are just entertainment. They are made for views and monetization. Yogi says, if Moran Tantra or death-inflicting rituals really worked, why do we need armies, weapons, or wars? Why doesn't a tantric take down an entire enemy force? Because it doesn't work that way. Here are some trending YouTube topics that are fooling millions. Real Aghoris caught on camera doing black magic. Do this ritual at 3 a.m. and a ghost will appear. A real tantric gave me a protection mantra. We spent a night in India's most haunted cremation ground. Summoning a Yakshini for wealth must watch. 10 signs you are under black magic attack. This temple is cursed, no one returns alive. Real footage of ghost caught by CCTV. Man tries black magic and disappears. And creepy spirit calls me by my name in the middle of the night. These videos get millions of views, not because they are real, but because people are naturally drawn to fear and mystery. So next time you watch a video claiming to have real ghost footage, ask yourself, who is profiting from this fear? Many stories circulate about the mystical experiences of tantrics who have meditated in these places. Some claim to have seen shadowy figures moving through the ashes, while others report hearing whispers from unseen entities. There is even a tale of a tantric who once sat meditating in a cremation ground, only to be approached by an ethereal apsara who danced before him, attempting to distract him from his spiritual path. Later, that story is spread as a real event in society. Have you ever heard about Dhami and Jhakri? Dhami and Jhakri are traditional spiritual healers and shamans found mainly in Nepal, India, especially in the Himalayan regions, and some parts of Bhutan. They are deeply connected to indigenous and tantric spiritual practices but differ from tantrics in many ways. A Dhami is a spiritual healer, usually found in Nepal and Uttarakhand, India. They act as intermediaries between the spiritual world and human beings. They use trance states to communicate with deities, spirits, or ancestral souls. People seek Dhami for exorcisms, healing, and spiritual guidance. Their power is believed to come from deities like Shiva, Bhairav, and Durga. A Jhakri is a shamanic practitioner who is skilled in calling spirits, healing diseases, and removing black magic. They often use Jhangro, a sacred drum, to invoke spirits and enter trance states. They can open the lower chakras within minutes, making them spiritually powerful. Unlike tantrics, they do not rely on complex rituals but instead use chants, herbs, and direct spiritual connection. The difference between a Dhami or Jhakri and a tantric lies in their power source. Tantrics rely on rituals, mantras, and spirit invocation. On the other hand, Dhami and Jhakri use direct divine energy and enter trance states. When it comes to speed and effectiveness, a Jhakri can instantly access lower chakras within 15 minutes using a drum. In contrast, a tantric takes years to master rituals and mantras. Now let's talk about the danger level. Tantrics can sometimes get trapped in lower spirit realms. However, Dhami and Jhakri work with divine forces, which are considered much safer. Tantrics may claim to control spirits, but a Dhami or Jhakri, who is a shamanic healer, can open lower chakras within 15 minutes just by playing the Jhangro, a sacred drum, and calling upon Shiva and Shakti. While a tantric needs years of practice, meditation, and rituals, a Jhakri can command lower entities effortlessly. This is why a Jhakri can remove a tantric's power in just minutes. Can anyone practice Tantra without fear? Yogi says yes. Tantra can be practiced at home by chanting Om Namah Shivaya and Om Hring Shring Chamundaye Vicche mantras. Which one do you prefer? The yogi explains that when we start praying, lower energies come first, but they belong to the higher energies as ganas or servants. Later they can harm you, but if you start by worshipping higher beings, later, they help without harming. The yogi gives an example. If you want to meet a high-class person but you don't have direct access, you might try to go through the watchman. The watchman needs something first before helping you, but in reality, he cannot arrange the meeting. Over time, the watchman learns more about you from what you have already shared. Now, he starts asking for more and more in return. This keeps going, and in the end, you never reach the actual person you wanted to meet. A tantric who prays to minor deities, ghostly beings, bhutas, yakshinis, or yoginis, faces the same problem. These powers help at first, but then they demand more and more, trapping the practitioner. But if you go directly to the owner of the house, Shiva or Shakti, things are different. When you sit with the house owner, you can order small things like a cup of water, and the watchman brings it immediately, without asking for anything in return. The house owner does not question why the watchman is serving you, but instead, he thanks him for helping. Now next time when you visit, the watchman himself offers help, saying, "If you need anything, just call me without hesitation." This is why the yogi advises never to start worship from the lower. When we chant mantras, the lower powers come first, but don't attach to them. Keep going. Later, when you reach the higher level, all these powers become your servants. The truth. Anyone can practice Tantra without fear. Tantra is not about ghosts, fear, or dangerous rituals. It's about energy, meditation, and spiritual growth. You do not need a guru or a cremation ground to practice Tantra safely. Tantra is not a dark, forbidden path as shown on YouTube or in horror stories. Anyone can practice it safely with Shiva and Shakti mantras. You do not need a guru if you only work with divine energies. However, if you wish to invoke lower beings, you must have a proper guru, strict rules, and a protected space like a mashan. If you chant mantras with purity and discipline, you will gain spiritual power without fear. But if you recklessly experiment with spirits, you may invite forces beyond your control. Chant these powerful mantras for protection and enlightenment. Om Namah Shivaya, a mantra dedicated to Shiva, the Supreme Consciousness, bringing spiritual purification and liberation. Om Hring Shring Chamundaye Vicche, a mantra invoking Devi Shakti, offering protection and divine guidance. Choose one of the above mantras and chant for 3 hours every day. Stay disciplined, fearless, and focused. Ignore myths, horror stories, and fake YouTube videos. Would you dare to chant for 3 hours tonight and see the results for yourself? Stop fearing the unknown. Start focusing on your real life. If you found this video eye-opening, share it, hit the like button, and subscribe for more truth bombs.